Coming up next.
We're all in a circle. I have a group of girls in my color team. We're all there. We're all in our circle, and I'm just talking about, we call this the activity of the bowl of light.
Mm,
And in that place, that's where we're explaining that we have like this bucket or this bowl, and we put like candles or lights to inside of it. And we show it to them like, oh my gosh, when you're first born, when you're, like before you start to understand anything, you're like, you have this light inside of you. And we're showing them like, look how bright it is, look how light everything feels. Like, and pass the bucket around where they feel the lightness and like, oh my gosh, this is so light, so easy. Like they're all easy passing around, including our most smallest girls and everything. And then and then we shift the conversation a bit. We're like, well, how many of you guys know what it's like to have a parent leave you? And then they're like, me. And then we just we drop a rock inside. Then it's like, oh, when this happens, when we get angry, when we get sad and we're not letting go anything, and we start putting all the burdens of life in there, and you're not letting yourself breathe, the bucket starts to get heavy. And we also ask what's happening to the light. And then they realize like, oh, it's getting darker. It's getting
mm,
dimmer.
mm-hmm,
It's almost, and then we got to a point where we started to make it where it's nothing there, where this is what is, and then we have them feel what it's like to just carry the bucket, because they don't recognize that that's how heavy they're holding it in on their
mm.
own selves.
Welcome to Faith Over Addiction podcast, where the chains of fixing and striving are broken and joy is rediscovered in Christ. You're here because you know there's more for you, a life beyond addiction's chaos, rooted in God's peace and promises. This is the place where Christian women like you learn to release the weight of fixing and striving and instead lean into God's strength to create a home filled with love, grace, and hope. She is clothed with strength and dignity. Proverbs 31:25. That's you. You may not feel like it yet, but you are stronger than you know. And God has so much more for you than carrying someone else's addiction. Here, we'll uncover how to set healthy boundaries with love and a little humor. Find resilience and grace in the messy moments of life. Celebrate small victories and embrace joy like never before. Lean into God's promises for restoration and strength, because He's not done with your story or your loved ones. This is your invitation to rise up, embrace your worth in God's kingdom, and take back what's been stolen by addiction: your peace, your joy, your future. Your faith is the foundation, and your boundaries are the bridge, and God's truth is your guide. I'm Tanya Joya, your host and fellow traveler on this journey through the chaos of addiction. I'm here to cheer you on, equip you with tools that work, and share the truth that's changed my life. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10. Together, we'll uncover how to create safe, loving space for healing, starting with your own heart and home. By setting boundaries, trusting God's plan, and embracing His truth, you can reclaim your joy, your peace, and your family's future. Then you will be able to stand firm for your family and legacy as a kingdom daughter, a woman who can laugh at the days to come, knowing her identity is secure in Christ. So grab a cup of coffee or tea and get comfortable. Let's walk this journey together. We're about to take back what's been stolen, create a safe, healing space for you and your family, and rediscover the joy God has waiting for you. Welcome to Faith Over Addiction. I'm your host, Tanya Joya, and I am here with this beautiful woman who has gotten up crazy early because she's in Hawaii, Kealohilani, and just some really great things that she is doing. We are, again, as we do often on this podcast, talking about God-given identity and cultivating. She cultivates a life of grounded in peace. She's a teacher, speaker, creator of the great I Am's daughter ecosystem. And Kealohilani, that is the ecosystem that I desire to be in, of setting up that structure. She also does clarity strategies. How often have we been in our lives where we're not really clear and we could really use some help? So tell us a little bit more about your work and how you came to it and what God has led you through.
Yeah. Thanks, Tanya, for having me on here. Honestly, I have to actually start from the very beginning, which is my own story. Because my story is just alone starts with a lot of like the need for validation, the need to where I needed to chase like one award after another, one degree after another, one title after another. Like it just became a place of where like because I am a middle child of three daughters
Mhm.
and I had this crazy thing of comparing myself because I've always seen myself as like the black sheep and literally also because even though me and my sisters and I do call them sisters even though like the world will call us half sisters
Mhm.
but mo my two sisters are like they look more like my mom. Like if you were just to face value, you would think like, one, my oldest sister looks like my mom's sister. Like it looks like a sister of my mom. My youngest looks like a granddaughter of my mom. And then I'm the one, like, I'm the adopted child. And that
Mm.
actually was a story of like literally where we went to church, and people literally thought I was my mom's adopted child. And even though I didn't at the time let it bother me, but then when I hear the story a couple times or when I think about it, and then I started to get it into my head. And then I'm like, okay, let me show people that I'm not this adopted child. Like, no, I am my mother's daughter. And that from there is where I kind of like started to be like, okay, I need to validate my identity. And I didn't really let God do that. I let myself do that. And I let other people do that.
Mm.
And from there, that's when like it was at first like, the simple, like innocent at first, where it's just like, okay, the innocence. Then it got to a point in my story where I started to also put it into my head that, oh, because other people don't see you as valuable, that's how I started to see on, oh, that's why I'm not getting chosen as any like guys, like girl or anything like that. Like I've never been, honestly, I've never been in a relationship. And like at that point, and I was like in high school. And so at that point, I was like, okay, no boy is like really seeing me as like ch- a girl to hang out with or a girl to be considered a girlfriend. Not realizing, like hindsight later, that that was God's protection, to be honest. Which I thank God for that because I don't think I would have wanted to date any of my classmates, to be honest. And so, yeah, so like hindsight of that, that was so great. But like during that moment, honestly, yeah, I just was like, okay, I guess I'm not good enough. And so what I did was I explored online and to like, not knowing the world. Like
Mm.
I was more like always grew up Christian, grew up like in a church, like from like the Latter-day Saints to like when I was like more of a toddler, so I'm just following my family. And then we go into non-denominational Christian church and everything in Hawaii. And then like that's where I like fired up for God. So like my world was still like sheltered. And my
Yes.
mom was very good about about doing that. Like even though she was very good about being open about like why our dads were not in our lives and she was very truthful. So we weren't like fully enclosed, but everything else was kind of enclosed to me. Like I didn't understand that there were some not so good people. Like there were some people who was willing to hurt you and willing to like potentially expose you in a way that was not really good for you.
Mm.
And I didn't know that. I just like, okay, yeah. So like I was like, oh, cool. Like hopped on a random, yeah, dating chat or whatever is, and then was talking to random guys. And I'm gonna be honest, I pretended I was 18, not
Mm,
knowing. I pretended to
mhm,
be 18, even though I was like 16, and was, yeah, like letting guys tell me what to do. And I just did it. Like if they wanted to see something on mine, like see my body, then yeah, I did it because I was like, no, I don't want to lose you. No, I don't want to anything. And then in hindsight, God used my mom to catch me in the act
mhm,
and everything. And I didn't at the time, and not even though she took away my phone, and not, of course, I'm a teenager. So like I'm more like in shame though. And then
mm,
I put myself in shame, like, oh my God, see, you messed up. See, you lost your trust. Now even look. And from there, it was like, okay, cool. You know what? Let's just go back into schoolwork. And so because I was always focused on school. School was like my thing, my one little shelter I knew that I could do great in.
mm,
And so I locked back in. My junior year, I kind of went, like, once I got access to a phone again, then was like, okay, I started to be a little bit more smarter in hiding.
mm,
But like, of course, anything you do in the dark will come to the light.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so got caught in that again. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? It's not worth it anymore. Let's just focus. So I did focus, did that. Then graduated from high school with like honors and all that stuff. And then I was like, okay, cool. Now we're gonna go into college. Because I still stayed home and so many times I did try to run away from Hawaii and not really understanding the value of my state and why I should stay home. And so I just continued just like trying to find schools that would let me escape,
Mm, mhm.
even though they were the Christian schools. But my mom had like this very strong discernment. She's like, no. So I was like, okay. And so, yes, I went through my 2 years, from 2016 to 2018, fully focused, getting involved. Again, still chasing titles of like student leadership and everything, and just trying to find value in that.
Mm.
And even though I did, like I found people who found me as valuable and found people who like understood my talents and gifts, but I still felt exhausted. It just felt exhausting to continue. And I just didn't understand that part that I didn't realize because I was just gonna go, go, go. And I didn't know that until COVID hit. That's when I
Oh. Oh,
that's
and
when
so
I
you were at full
realized.
stop. No, go, go, go.
Yes.
At full stop. All right, COVID hits. Still haven't validated your identity. Have this background with some shame in it. What did God bring you into?
So once COVID hit, then it made me realize I needed to breathe. It was a moment of like, because at the time I still wasn't driving, so I was still catching the bus to go to like meetings and everything. Like I'll be on one side of the island and then I needed to go like to more into like the middle central. And since I didn't drive, I had to catch the bus. So it was like literally taking about 1 to 2 hours on the bus one way and then 1 to 2 hours back. And like once COVID hit, it was like this is what it feels like to pause. This is what it's like
Mm,
to breathe. And
mhm.
then it's like, even though I'm on Zoom meetings, it was like, oh, this is nice. Or I can just get up, get on a press a button and okay, cool. And not be anywhere I needed to be. And then that's when it's like, okay, now let me actually focus on myself. Now let me actually lock in on who I truly am. And that's when God just like really took me into a space of like, hey, I need you. I need you to truly lock in. And even in, because from 2017 to 2019, he actually made me face some things because I am a mentor at our Camp Agape Hawaii also, where we serve children with parents of incarcerated. So
Okay.
like we deal with those that population. And so he knew I was like, I don't know how to do this. What do
Mm.
you mean? I don't understand. Like I understand what it's like to grow up in a single parent home, but I don't know what it's like to have incarcerated. I said mine's might as well be because I but then God's like, well, you understand how to love me. You understand how to love others. You understand how to trust others. And you know what it's like to forgive. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I was doing that also while I was on the go. But also, he had me face those. And like, because every third night of the camp, it'll be a 4-day camp, and on the third night is forgiveness night. And
Uh-huh.
that's where he has me facing all of those, where I have to like forgive the people, forgive who I've been hurt, like still hurt from. And
Mhm.
every single year, I always had that. And then, yeah, when COVID stopped, it was like, okay, I don't know what to do anymore. And that's when I had to like face myself and be like, the person now you have to forgive is yourself
Ooh. Ooh.
because the choices of what I made. And that's when I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, what does that mean?
Yes,
I was
yes.
like,
What does that mean? Because you said so when you're this is a lot of our audience will ask this question of how do you hear God? You know, he
mm-hmm.
shared with you that you knew how to love and you knew how to love other people and you knew how to trust. That's pretty amazing. Now, how did you hear that from God? Was it audible? Was it scriptural? Was it a friend? What came to
Yeah. So when it comes to me and like at the time, because my relationship with God was getting stronger each time, a lot of it became like audible to me. But there
you?
were times where it was scriptural, where literally I would, and because that is a gift of mine, where I could read the word and automatically interpret of what he's trying to say. And from there, it was like, okay, this is where you need me to be. And then also too, sometimes it's even through other surroundings, like how I knew God called me to even serve that population of children was that um because I had a boss that did serve there and he was inviting some of his other employees that I just didn't like. I kind of like, oh, they're related to that population, so of course, yeah, he's gonna ask them. Like, cool, I'm just under his other program that doesn't really focus on that kind of population, so he's not talking to me or to any of us. He's just talking to the ones that are relatable to the children and have been in that life, that understands the parents' life. And so I was like, okay, cool. And then I just so happen God's like keeping it in my mind where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, go look it up. So when I got home, I looked it up. I watched a promo video of saying, hey, join us. And I started crying.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
that's when I just said, send me. And that's when, like, from there, it was like 2017 was like the booming year. And then like even like 2016 too, I had my spiritual parents who they came back, they were wearing this nice shirt. And then I just I was on sale for somewhere and then asked like, oh, where did you get those shirt from? I like would totally love to buy it. And they're like, well, actually you can't actually buy it. You have to go to a camp. And then kind of forgot about that conversation. 2017 brings it on and it's like, oh my gosh, this is the camp that they were talking about.
Oh my goodness. That's how God works. So you've been working with kids and doing this forgiveness night every third night, and then God asked you to forgive yourself.
Yes.
How did you step in?
Oh my goodness. So what happens on this forgiveness night? I think the night that I had to forgive myself, um, it was the way we do it, because there was like so many ways that we did it with the kids. But I think this one that I had to do it, it was yeah, is like we had a stone and I think I actually had to lead that day, that night. And it was where um we're all in a circle. I have a group of girls in my color team. We're all there. We're all in our circle and I'm just talking about, we call this the activity of the bowl of light.
Mm.
And in that place, that's where we're explaining that we have like this bucket or this bowl and we put like candles or lights to inside of it. And we show it to them like, oh my gosh, when you're first born, when you're, like before you start to understand anything, you're like, you have this light inside of you. And we're showing them like, look how bright it is. Look how light everything feels. Like, and pass the bucket around where they feel the lightness and like, oh my gosh, this is so light, so easy. Like they're all easy passing around, including our most smallest girls and everything. And then and then we shift the conversation a bit. We're like, well, how many of you guys know what it's like to have a parent leave you? And then they're like, me. And then we just we drop a rock inside. Then it's like, oh, when this happens, when we get angry, when we get sad and we're not letting go anything, and we start putting all the burdens of life in there, and you're not letting yourself breathe, the bucket starts to get heavy. And we also ask what's happening to the light. And then they realize like, oh, it's getting darker. It's getting
Mm.
dimmer.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost, and then we got to a point where we started to make it where it's nothing there, where this is what is, and then we have them feel what it's like to just carry the bucket because they don't recognize that that's how heavy they're holding it in on their
Mm.
own selves. And then they're like, and even like our smallest girls, I'll give it to like our smallest one where she's like, how easy it was for her to move it. And then she'd be like, somebody grab this for me. Please, I don't want to hold it anymore. I don't want to
Yes.
hold it. Grab it. And then like they kept passing and they're like passing it faster because they don't want to hold it.
Yes.
Because before they're like, oh, this is easy. This is light. Now they're like,
Mhm.
please take it away. And then I would recognize that and like I'll explain that. I'm like, this is what it feels like on your heart.
Mm.
And this is what happens when you have unforgiveness. This is what happens when you don't give it to Jesus, when you don't decide to let go the person that hurt you. It's like, Isaac, when we forgive, it's not saying that, oh, what they did means nothing. No, you're saying, God, I'm letting go of the weight and letting you carry it and you do something about it.
Mhm.
Instead of me doing it because I can't do it on my own. And from there, then once we take off all the rocks again, we give it to the girls. And from there, we have them say, who do you forgive? And as they're saying it, they're holding the rock. And then, because beautiful thing about being in Hawaii and the camp that we were at specifically, we had them throw it in the ocean.
Oh, and to truly let it go to the
Yeah.
hand of God.
Yeah, to truly let it go. And also because in Hawaii, because of the way we see our waves and the ocean, it's like because of when waves are circulating, we know that it's gonna go start washing away from us. And it's like
Mhm.
our true reset and everything. And that's how we do it, where we're just saying like, I release it to you and let the waves kind of like cleanse it and everything. And then of course from there, so yeah, when I had to do that, I started out first as the leader and I said, the person I forgive is myself because I made decisions that no one else made it for me. And
Mhm.
I hurt myself in a way that I shouldn't have.
Mhm.
And I said, I forgive everybody else, but the one person I kept getting mad at is myself.
Mhm.
And because of the different plays, like, yeah, you should have done better. You should have never done this. It's like, look at the things you caused. Look at this. And I would remind myself. And it would be kind of like how the Old Testament is kind of being like that 1 year forgiveness, and then you still reminded of your sin. And so that's what I did for myself until it was time for me to actually like, you know what? The one person I need to do that is for me. And since then, that's when I made the decision of I would never put her back into that position ever again.
I will never put her back in the bucket and cover her with rocks, right?
Yes.
It remind the children's song of of put your light under, you don't put your light under a basket. You don't
Mm-hmm.
you don't do that. You let your light shine. There's all kinds of hand motions. It's been 30
Yeah.
years since I've done it, but it's letting that light shine.
Mm-hmm.
Where did God take you after your light began to you were already sharing, already loving, already trusting. Now where did he take you after you began to forgive yourself?
Yeah, from there, that's when the door started to open a bit more, and I started to get into more different opportunities that allowed me to like really grow and lead people from a genuine place and more from a actual like stability place. And even though I was still a student leader, it was easier for me to get through my bachelor's degree in for that and for 2021. And then that's when like I was getting nominated for awards and all these different things because of like me just leading from a heart that's actually willing to serve
Mm.
and serve like other people on my college campus. And so from there, then we get into 2022 where I'm thinking, oh, I'm great. This is going great. This is going good. Life is getting better. This is when you get to the difference of what you think is healed is actually just suppressed.
Oh my. So that's big. What you think is healed is actually just suppressed.
Yep,
So
because
how did you release that you'd already done some forgiveness work, but how did you
mhm.
release the suppression?
Oof, 2022 was the year that exposed me. That exposed me in such a way that I thought I forgave my father.
Mm-hmm.
But when it was a time of like I was about to go to a conference that where I was gonna get my award for being an outstanding undergrad that is Asian Pacific Islander um in the community and everything. And so but and because it's in Maryland and it was during spring break, so my mom, she had the great idea, which it was a great idea, to go visit my family on my dad's side because she knew that my auntie lived in New York and spend some time with them. Haven't seen them for years. The last time I did see them was in 2016. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, okay, we're in 2022. Yeah, it's great. Then her and my auntie, as they were making the plans, had the greatest idea to have my father come be the one to drop me off from New York to Maryland.
Mm.
And so it's like, I was like, oh, okay. So I'm thinking, all right, God, this is it. This is it. This is going to be the time you're going to do the healing work on him. This is the time that we get to rekindle our relationship.
Mm.
Got it. Okay. Like I tried to find the silver lining to all of this. It's like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, I haven't seen this man since like 2014. So okay. Okay, 8 years later. Okay, cool. Yeah, God. So what was planned for a Sunday ended up fast tracking to where we arrive in New York on a Thursday, where it's like we leave on a Wednesday, leave Hawaii on a Wednesday, go on a Thursday, land there, and get to spend breakfast with my uncle who picked us up, see my auntie. Then we kind of like took a little nap because it was just still early in Hawaii technically by the
Yes.
time we landed there. And then we wake up and then my auntie's like, "Oh yeah, your uncle wants to see you," but I told him no, there's your guys are still resting. And I was like, "No, it's okay." But then she's like, "Well, probably could see him on Friday." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. That sounds great." And then they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go do this whole like see New York." And so I was like excited on Friday, like we're ready. Okay, it's Thursday. Okay, cool. Spend some time with my auntie at her house, and then her and my uncle booked a hotel room for me and my sister to truly rest. And so we're like, okay, cool. See you in the morning. Now, if you told me that Friday morning would have changed everything, I probably would have rethink this whole trip.
Oh
That's
no.
how bad it was. Like it was a
Oh
plot
no.
twist in a Hallmark movie or something.
Oh no.
Like to the point where it's like to the point like I was so excited because I thought I was gonna go to a finally like a church's praise and paint event with my auntie, and like, okay, cool, we get to spend time at you with it even more. We get to see your church and do everything, be in God's presence. And then but then in the morning we get picked up by my suddenly we get picked up by my dad.
Mm.
And I just thought, okay, we're gonna just do this whole New York thing. But then we started to put our bags in his car. And then next thing you know, my auntie says the words, I won't be seeing you anymore. So I'm like not processing it fully. But at the
Oh
time, I'm
my.
like, yeah, she's like, this is a goodbye. We're not gonna see you guys anymore. Okay. And then I'm just like, okay, why though? And then like I'm just like, oh, okay. I'm like, let's just keep going. And I wasn't the type yet to like be bold enough to question anything. I was like, okay, we're
Hmm.
just gonna go with the flow. And from there, it was like, go with the flow. And then next thing you know, we're like, oh yeah, we gotta go get back into Delaware anymore. And I'm like, so what about the rest of this trip? And then what kind of woke me up was my mom called me because she knows, like, my mom's the type to check in. And she's
Mm.
with your children being like 1,000 miles away, yes, you're gonna check in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I made it in such a way because I was in the car, because I knew my dad didn't know my like little mimics of how to of certain ways of voices and anything like that. I knew I could tell my mom a certain way, like, yeah, everything's okay. Everything's fine. Yeah, we're with dad. And like I just made it in a way of like, Mom, you better pick up on what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
And she's like, is everything okay? And I go, yeah, let me show you. And because I'm like, yeah, let me show you a picture. And then I was like, oh yeah, I can text you this picture. I literally texted everything that happened in the moment. And
Mm-hmm.
she like, what? And like Mom Bear came out at that time. And that's when it woke me up. And because I knew I had to stay calm because I had my sister, my youngest sister with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to freak out in front of her because I'm like, if I freak out, she's definitely going to freak out because she does not
Mm-hmm.
know my dad at all. And from there, it just felt like when I said like, no, literally, like my mom's trying to get handle with him and say like, hey, get my children back to your sister. And then, of course, I thought my auntie was going to be the rescue of all people. No, she stands with her brother.
Mm.
She's like, well, he's not a criminal. He's not this. He's not that. I'm like, but do you realize what's happening? We are with him and his girlfriend, who is like, I'm not agreeing with.
Mm.
Like, spiritually, I'm not agreeing with. I'm like, I'm uncomfortable. I am in a place that I do not know or go to. This is not my everyday life. And literally, I'm like, and because I was not bold enough, and I thought I was, but I wasn't because I shrunk back
Mm.
to the little girl that was like, yeah, let's just go with it. Try not to cause any issues. But like we're at that point too of like I was split between my grown-up self and my little self, where it's like, but we're
Right.
with dad. It's fine. But also like, are you crazy? We have not seen this man in years.
Right.
And so like from there, it was like I was breaking because I was seeing that my voice did not matter. And
Yes.
that's what broke me so much to the point that I was like, I like literally was like ready to escape. Like literally, I was like coming up with 5 million ways. And good thing I'm like very resourceful, even though like, yes, I put myself in those kind of situations, but I figure out ways to get out. And so I
Yes.
was like, how do I get out of here? This is when I first learned that you can text 911. And I'm like, this is new because Hawaii, you gotta call 911. I'm like, I didn't know you
Okay.
could text him. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you can text 911. So I'm like
Yeah.
trying to text 911 and be like, hey, yeah, it's not exactly a kidnapping, but like, hello, hi. I'm kind of being held. And like, then this is also how I learned that it also can take a while for 911 to figure out where you are. And because we kept crossing state lines, even more so.
Right.
It was like, so like, yeah, I was like, every time I text 911, I'm like, hey, you need to come now because we are in this location, especially when you did a pit stop. It's like, hey, now's a good time for
Right.
you guys to show up. But
Right.
it didn't happen. And so I was like, oh gosh, this is so like, I'm like, this is unbelievable. This is impossible. I'm like, oh, we're never gonna get out of here. And then when it was ready for about to be dinner time, it was like he was like, "Oh, well, we're gonna have some arcade time the next tomorrow." And like on a Saturday, I'm like, I do not want to stay at her house. And like
Mm,
honestly, like when we even stepped in, I already could tell. I'm like, no, if we stay here, this is not gonna end well. I'm like, this is
mm-hmm.
not gonna end well. We need to get out here now. Like honestly, like it felt like I was Joseph for a moment, like with Jesus.
Yeah.
And we're like, get out. And I
Yes.
could tell. And so I was like, okay, Holy Spirit, you gotta figure it out. And I'm like, he's like, well, you got extra money. Use it to get yourself to where it's like get your dad to drop you off in Maryland already. Because Maryland was already 1 hour away from Delaware because that's where it originally was to be. And then so I was like, okay, cool. And then I said, oh, like, can you just get us to Maryland instead? Get us to Baltimore. Um, And he's like, "Oh, well, aren't you supposed to be there until like you won't happen to get your room until Sunday?" I'm like, "Oh, I already called them and readjusted, even though it was a lie at the time." I'm like,
Mm,
"Oh, we already got our room." I'm like, "It's already prepaid to where it's like, yeah, I can just, just pay a little extra to already um come now." And but in actuality, I'm like, I was actually on my phone while my dad was getting dinner, I was actually on my phone. I'm like, let me reserve a room right now. I'm
mm-hmm.
like, let me just reserve it now. Even though it's extra money now, I'm like, it's like completely another whole day and everything. I'm like, let me do it now. Let me get it ready. And then that's when he's like, oh, okay, can we do it after dinner? So yeah, so after dinner, he takes us. And when we finally got to the hotel room, it was a relief. It
Mm,
was
mm-hmm.
such a relief.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything felt such a weight off. Like I felt like I could breathe again. And
Mm-hmm.
then I could think straight. And then also it was even more of a relief because while we were going through everything, and we did see my other uncle, who was my dad's brother. And at the time when he was asking like what's going on with my sister, because my sister was kind of freaking out, I said like, well, it's a culture shock. And because I just lied, I'm like, oh, it's a culture shock. But then like in hindsight, I'm like, I kind of wish I was bold enough to just say it because she is with strangers
Mm-hmm.
and she is in a place that she doesn't trust any of y'all. And
Mm-hmm.
so when my uncle asked, it's like, oh, my dad was like, well, it's just culture shock. And I'm like, no, it's not. And then my sister was like more bolder. She's like, no, it's not. It's like, you're not listening. You're not listening to my mom. You're not listening to my sister. You're not listening to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of like put it a whole thing. But that's the reason I knew I had to get to Baltimore already. And then from there, it was a whole. And then that night, once we got into a hotel room, took everything off, my oldest sister, being that she stayed in New York and everything, knew like, okay, we're gonna figure out how you guys can get to mom because mom's coming in to New York because
Mm-hmm.
we were able to pay my mom's flight to get her there and she just had family members drop her off at the airport and get her to New York. And so from there, it was like this, like go on the Greyhound, get a, do everything from Baltimore. Okay, got to New York, take the subway. Okay, get catching the bus, got to New York's airport and everything, and finally saw my mom. Like honestly, if I was a lighter child, I would have like jumped in my mom's arms. Like I told her, I'm like, if I was lighter
Yeah.
and you was like, or I knew you were super strong, I would have just jumped and like be like that whole movie moment. I said that's how much I needed you.
Yeah. So, how is this building your resilience? How are you using this in your work now?
Yeah, so because of that, um, from there. it actually made me realize, and it actually, that experience caused me to turn off my ear to God because
Oh.
I became angry with him.
Uh-huh.
I became so angry to the point I was like, I don't want to hear from you anymore. How
Mm-hmm.
dare you have me go through that? Like, so at the time, yeah, it was like, how dare you? I became that moment where I was like, how dare you allow this happen? This is not the way I wanted it to be. So when I finally got home, it was like, oh, Holy Spirit really had to like comfort me because I was like still like crying at night, where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I would forget that I'm in my own bedroom. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, no, you're here, you're home, you're safe, you're finally home. After the whole trip and everything of like, I got my award, like, I was just like, my mom was just there. She did her best of just like getting us to smile more and be there. Um, Everybody thought I was mad at them. I mean, I kind of was, but not to the point I was ignoring them. It's just that during the daytime and everything, my phone was like at 10%. So I was like, I need to reserve my phone charging
Mm-hmm.
for my mother. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, let me just turn it off. It was funny because when I finally was on a charger and everything, everybody was blowing up my phone. My cousin was, my uncle was, my auntie was. I'm like, I wasn't mad at y'all. I mean, I kind of was more at you, auntie, but not to the point where I was going to ignore you. It's
Yeah.
just my phone was dying.
So what is God trying to share with you during all this? How are you taking this?
Yeah, so during that time, it was like he had to re-show me what it was like to receive love again, and a true unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And because even though I went through that in March, actually this next week makes the you could 4-year anniversary of all this craziness happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for that, since then, it's been like before I was never able to even share this story. Like I would have
Mm-hmm.
never done it. Like it was still like so close to me because it caused me to turn off my ear. It caused me to go back into the validation of men and
Mm-hmm.
just staying in that rut for like about 1 to 2 years. And
Wow.
then yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah. And to the point like he started to even to the point that because through one of our junior mentors, which is the angels that the kids who are ready to like lead but also be that bridge to help us with the new kids, her mom passed away, and so went to her celebration of life and everything. And and people were like, I thought camp passed already. So, because I was like, to the point, I'm like, I don't even want to serve at camp anymore
Mm.
because I knew it was going to be the first year of back from COVID. I was like, I don't want to serve at camp. Next thing you know, three people that were very important to me during my time of serving before COVID all asked me, are you coming to camp? I was like, oh, I thought camp passed. And they're like, no, it's better. It's because normally it's during Labor Day weekend, but
Mm.
um that year just so happened to be during Veterans Weekend. And I was like, oh, okay. So for the first two people, I was like, oh, maybe God knew he had to send the one person that he knew that has always been a leader to me and everything. And I've been under his authority. And he asked, are you coming to camp? And I said, yeah, I'll sign up to go to camp. And then I'm like, but I also told God, I was like this. I'm like, I'm not being your Ohana leader. I'm not leading your whole team. Next thing you know, as we're going through our trainings 1 to 2 weeks later, I just get a call saying, you're gonna lead the orange team. I'm like, wow, God, you just had to demand that. Like, typically, this is normally when you ask if we're okay to. I'm like, you just demanded and said, I'm leading. Got it. Okay, you knew I was gonna say no. And from there, it was like, I'm like, okay, God, you're gonna have to help me be in it. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have to show me how to love again, how to trust again, and definitely how to forgive again. Because, and even the thought of having a hope and a prayer, because I have not been doing this. I've been
Mm.
ignoring you all this
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, God actually used my mom and my sister to make sure that they were on my team as my female mentors
Mm-hmm.
with a couple other extra ones because he knew that if I'm worrying about kids and everything, I'm going to ignore everything he has for me. And so
Mm.
he knew that I needed my mom on my team because she's such a like a really good mama's bear that she'll take care of all the kids. And so from there, it was like really good from there. And so from there, I all I had to do was receive the messages that were being spoken during our chapel time, hear the girls and see them like just grow and everything. And then like some of the boys started to connect with me too and just like love on me and be like, "Oh, we love you, Auntie." And so like because that was my second year being Ohana leader, um and when 2025 came, I became a third time. I recognized that because it was my third year, I was like, my first year being Ohana leader in 2019 was the father, where it's like, God, I need you to provide any wisdom on this. I'm like, you're just going to be the provider to tell me how to run the team because this is my first time. The second year, which was 2022, I saw it as that was the year of the sun. That was the
Mm.
year that Jesus had to remind me that you were loved so much
Mm.
that I came to save you from this world, that I died for you, that I am here for you and everything. So I had to relearn what was that. And that's how it started to happen. And that's actually where the Great I Am's daughter started to happen,
Mm.
where I had to start recognizing my own authority and identity. And then from there, he connected with me with people that had similar like stories of like the validations and everything. And then that's when he started to have me write the first, I would say, the introduction chapter of my book
Mm-hmm.
that is still in the progress right now. But hopefully I have make the time to eventually do it again to pick
Yes,
it
yes.
up. And he's like, I'm like, because yeah, once I wrote the first chapter, then it was like, okay, cool. And then I kind of stopped because
Mm.
I didn't know what else to write. I was like really writer's block, and I'm like, okay, that means whatever is supposed to be written in this book, I have not gone through it yet. I have not yet got to that level.
Wow. That's some trust. Now, when you're talking, if you were talking to a woman who is struggling with validating her identity of, well, my identity is wrapped up in this child who's not doing well, or my identity is wrapped
Hmm.
up in this marriage who's not doing well, where would you tell her to turn?
I would tell her to turn into, honestly, I would say go back to Genesis 1:27. And that's your core scripture right there.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the one that reminds you that you are God's image. Before you became anything else, you were made a female who was reflecting God's direct image. You're
Mm-hmm.
like his female side that is his nurturing side.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the where it's like, hey, yes, you're a nurturer, but also you're not only supposed to nurture others, you're supposed to also nurture yourself. Because that's how God works. I mean, he makes sure like his whole system is based on making sure that he gets all the glory. So it's
Yeah.
like if he's making sure he takes care of himself and make sure that all the praises come to him, then why not make sure that when it's time to take care of yourself, of others, make sure you take care of yourself too. Because as much as people love to do this, like, everybody knows the greatest commandment is to love God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. But also, we know that everybody loves to do this. Oh, I must love others as much as I love myself. But here's the part that everybody keeps missing, that second part, as much as you love yourself.
Yes.
So if
Yes.
you're not going to give yourself as much love as you're trying to give everybody else, you're going to keep loving them from an empty bucket.
Or a heavy bucket, as you
Yeah, or a
explained,
really
or the
heavy
rock
one.
filled bucket
Yes.
with no light in it.
Yes, exactly. Or you're coming from these, and this is where part of the message of where the Great Adam's daughter is, it's asking, where is your heart operating out of?
Mm.
Is your heart operating out of the fractured heart? the one that's
Mm.
just broken and just under pressure and so much pain, where it starts looking like the roots are dying, everything is looking like a storm, and it's not so much this like, and everything just fractured. Where the light is
Mm.
there, but it's just a fractured light.
Mm-hmm.
Or is your heart guarded? Where it's
Mm-hmm.
so guarded where it just starts putting chains around it and it's just like a armor, but it's not to the point where anybody can get in. Like you
Mm.
threw away the key to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
is your heart operating out of the performing one, where you start to learn to function while still wounded, like you're getting yourself everywhere involved, getting yourself busy and everywhere, and you just start doing all of this, like, yeah, you're doing great. You're like you look great, but like you're just doing it out of performance, not so much from a genuine heart.
Right.
Or are you starting to awaken yourself, where you started to like realize that, wait, I am God's daughter and I want to heal. And then you start awakening where you let the light back in and start becoming full again. And you start unburdening yourself and taking off where you start to become raw. But yet there's still some darkness because, of course, you're still healing from that. And then from there, it's like, are you able to recognize all of those things and willing to let go so that then you become truly a restored heart? Which then looks like the rainbow is behind you to remember the promise. Like living, flowing waters is coming from a heart that is just restored and just going there. And it's rooted in a place that is in the good soil of God's love. And that's where it all needs to start is you need to root yourself in love. And it's not just any kind of love, it's God's agape love, where he loves you no matter what. He loved you through your hard times, he loves you through your good times. He loves you even when you decided to ignore him.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the place to start. Is like go back. If you don't know how to love yourself, go back to how God loves you and see yourself through that.
Amen. Now, as we wind up, tell us where we can find you. Tell us the work that you're doing now and
Yeah.
where those who are listening can say, oh, I want a little bit more of that. I want to be able to see that. What are you doing now?
Yeah, so right now, so because I'm still in the beginning stages, I would say the pre-revenue stage, where I'm just more getting the message out there and everything. But we have a really big offer right now happening right now where I'm looking for the founding 12,
The
where
Founding 12.
yeah, the
Fantastic.
founding 12, where we're gonna go take an 8 weeks cohort to build up where we restore our identity, align back into our king, align back our hearts back to God, and
Mm-hmm.
lead into our kingdom identity and authority that God gave us. And so right now, my the Instagram's business page is called at the Great I Am's Daughter, or you can look on Facebook and just look up my name and you'll find my two pages, which is the Great I Am's Daughter, or even yeah, look up the Great I Am's Daughter on Facebook, and that will lead you to all of the links and everything that I have available. But yeah, definitely we're right now looking for the founding 12 that is right now offered at 2,500. And if you're like at the first founding like five, that's at 2,500. But if you're like at the last seven, then it will be at 35. But hey, anything still works because there are payment options and everything ready for anyone who's ready to show up and invest in themselves and say, I am ready to be the great I am's daughter.
I am. I am ready to be the great I am's daughter. So we will include all those links below so that you can get this opportunity, especially if you're looking for validating your identity in a way that nobody can take away, no circumstance can change, and that it will always be the same. So thank you for being here this morning. I really appreciate all your story. I certainly appreciate you getting up so early to be with us this morning. And we'll
Thank you
make
for
sure
having
that all
me.
this information gets out to the whole audience. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Faith Over Addiction podcast. Remember, nothing changes until something changes. Today is your day to step out in faith and make a difference. You are a daughter of the King, a woman who can spark incredible ripple effects of hope and healing, not just in your own life, but in your family, your community, and God's kingdom. If this episode encouraged you, bless someone else by sharing it. Send it to a friend who needs a little hope, or post it on Instagram and tag me. I'd love to hear what resonated most with you. And hey, if you're ready to reclaim your God-given identity and create a safe, loving space for yourself and those you care about, let's talk. Book a quick call with me today, and I'd love to hear your story and help you take the next step. Oh, and don't forget to head over to Apple Podcasts, search for Faith Over Addiction, and leave me a review. Your feedback not only makes my day, but helps other women find this podcast and step into freedom too. You are strong, you are loved, and the joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10. Until next time, keep walking boldly into the life God has for you.